Alright guys, so today we're going to take a look at a method that we can use to work out whatever the notes are in any chord that we happen to be playing. And there's actually a couple of methods that I'm going to show that work in tandem with each other here. The first one being that anytime we play a chord, we can basically take our thumb, we take the root note of that chord, make our thumb whatever that letter is, and then we're going to count through the musical alphabet on our hand. And for now we're going to ignore sharps and flats, we're going to completely disregard them. And what we want to do is we're going to see sharps and flats as more of an instruction or a treatment to a note. So for example, if we're sharpening a note, it literally means move up a fret or raise that note by a semitone, and vice versa for flats. So the way we're going to use this method, we're going to take the root note of whatever chord we happen to be using, say it's some kind of A chord, be it flat, sharp, major, minor, diminished, augmented, doesn't matter, this method works for all of the above. I'm going to make my thumb the root note of the chord. So my root is some kind of A, means that my second is some kind of B, third some kind of C, fourth some kind of D, fifth some kind of E, and pretend for a second I've got 7 fingers. Some kind of F is going to give us our 6th, and some kind of G is going to be our 7th of the chord. And like I said, this is going to work for anything major, minor, augmented, diminished, any starting letter. So we're going to hit pause on that just for a second. The next thing we're going to do is take a look at all the chords that are in the harmonized C major scale, and there'll be a diagram show up on screen now. Ideally, we want to memorize this. Obviously, you can Google it, but we want to have it memorized if we can, because these are all going to serve as reference points that we can then use to tweak if we find chords that aren't in this key using the first method. So for example, we can see that chord 6 is our A minor, and that's got the notes A, C, and E in it. And that adheres with what we said before. We know that the root was some kind of A, third some kind of C, and the fifth some kind of E. Now, if you want to make that a major chord, all we need to do is push that third. We're going to raise it, we're going to sharpen it. So we're going to go from C to C sharp. That's going to give us A, C sharp, and E. That's our A major chord. Say, for example, we're going to make it augmented. We go A, C sharp, E sharp. And I guess a lot of people at this point will probably be saying, well, E sharp doesn't exist. If we go back to the start of the video where I said, for now, the sharps and flats kind of exist as instructions of how to treat a note, in that a sharp means just raise your E note. It sounds like quite a complicated way of doing things, but it's a complicated way of making things much more simple, in that you can always know that the fifth of whatever an A chord is, it's always going to be some kind of E. We don't have to think like, what if I'm in a different key or something? So even though an E sharp is enharmonically equivalent or basically the same as an F note, in music theory kind of terminology, we would always refer to the fifth of an A chord. If it's an augmented chord, it would always be an E sharp. In this strain of theory, you'll sometimes come across notes that shouldn't have flats but can. We'll see notes that can have sharps that shouldn't normally, or we might even see double flats or double sharps. Don't worry about it. It's basically, like I said, just a complicated way of making things a lot less complicated in the long run. So if we go back to our original A minor now, we've got our A, C, and E. Say we wanted to work out an A flat minor. All we do is push each of those back by a semitone. So we'd have A flat, C flat, and E flat. And again, for the purpose of demonstration, C flat can exist in this instance, and it's actually much quicker to think about it like that than thinking A flat, but then C flat can't exist, so it has to be a B, and then we'll go to E flat. Much quicker to just think we were allowed to flatten a C. In this particular instance, that's okay. If you want to take this one step further, I'd also recommend memorizing the harmonized scale of G. Again, this will be on screen now. As guitar players, we're very often playing in G and C, so it's a useful thing to know just off the top of your head. But like I say, this will give you a whole bunch of reference chords that you can then use to just make minor adjustments to get any other chord you need. It's not like you have to memorize every major, every minor, every augmented, every diminished chord. It's much better to have a fundamental understanding of how chords are structured, memorize 1 or 2 keys, and then know that you can tweak to get whatever the notes are that you need from there. Hopefully that all made sense. If you do have any questions though, feel free to drop them in the comment section, and if you did enjoy the video, please do click like and subscribe. Like I said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys.